Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Tell Not Show. As always, we're your hosts. We have the wonderful Kirsha Fox, author of Son of Deception, and the newly released The White Leaf Child. She's a homeschooling mom of four, avid gamer and reader.
And my co-host is Julia J.K. Allen, editor, author, and author coach. She's a fantasy and horror author who loves to sprinkle magic on everything. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Yes, and we're very excited to welcome S.F. Covell on our show tonight. So, Kirsha, why don't you tell them about
Yeah.
S.F.
Covell has been writing fiction and nonfiction since he was 12. He grew up in Westport, Connecticut, received a master's in English from Cal State Northridge in California, and taught writing, literature, and film at Antelope Valley College as a tenured professor. He has been married to an amazing woman for 28 years, has two equally amazing children in their 20s, and a large German Shepherd who's the model for Dum Dum.
And we are very excited to hear more about this German Shepherd mixed breed who is the model for Dum Dum.
Yes, he's very popular around here, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I bet. I just absolutely
thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so are we. We've been looking forward to it all week. So tell us a little bit about how you got started as a writer. So you were at the young age of 12, but tell us a little bit more about what got you into writing.
I started at 12, just writing horror stories. I was inspired by Edgar Allan Poe and Ray Bradbury when he didn't have Goosebumps and Harry Potter back then. Man, I loved the twist endings. And I loved the idea of crafting my own interesting yarns. I love the space where you are alone and in a groove and crafting a story. I call that the writer's space.
Yes.
Makes sense, right? It's very, very creative, very artistic, but also cerebral, as an art. It's an awesome space to be in, the writer's space. So I wrote lots of stuff over the years. And in the 80s, I wrote hundreds of songs. I was in a rock band in Hollywood, published some nonfiction in college when I was working on my English degree. Then in 2010, when my kids were older and I suddenly found time, I started playing around with an idea of a fan fiction novel about Jay Gatsby from The Great Gatsby, coming back to, as a ghost, getting revenge, and we joked around a lot about it in some of my lit classes, and I said, fine, I'm going to do it, and at the time there wasn't the ease to publish that we have now. I did it online. I did it online, and it was kind of a hack, but so then I revised it all in 2015, made it better, hopefully, and found a low budget press, and I came out with it was 2021. I came out with the sort of prequel sequel fan fiction, Gatsby's Revenge, sold about 150 copies. So I love the space to get in. I like the idea of being a writer, being contributing to the art in the art that I've been so much a part of all my life, both in teaching, writing, and in reading all these amazing men and women, for all these years.
Sounds fantastic.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process, how you go from start to end?
I've always had notepads, countless amounts of notepads, for 40 years or so. So the phone and the computer was like a godsend, particularly the phone, because, you can just carry it around everywhere. And that's what I do. I record everything on the phone, on notes, and then put it in categories, and then move it over to Google, Google Docs. I develop a lot of my ideas and scenes and dialogue actually walking at night, when there's nobody around. I'll have the dog, I'll have my dog with me and so forth. And then I'll sit down in my writing times, and type these things out, make it better and so forth. But walking and recording has been great for me. And it's one of the things I recommend to everybody. And I've recommended years, even just studying, you know, walk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That advice comes up a lot from the authors we interview, where you
Okay.
need to start moving, you need to get up and do something. Like that is actually how you like shake those ideas out of your head is
Yeah.
Right.
move.
Maybe it's
Get
the
the blood
ADD thing.
flowing.
We'll have the kind of ADD thing where kind of, you know, you get kind of restless, you know. Like,
Right, right. I know people that pace and like act out their dialogue, even because it's really
yeah,
helpful. Hmm.
that's a great idea. I love that.
Yeah, it's how you get
Yeah.
into your writer space, as you say. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that would be one way. I used to write screenplays too, in the tens, and and so it's great to get people, you know, to read the lines. It's just so helpful to hear it
Right.
being read. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Yeah, that is really helpful. So speaking of getting into this writer space, when it's time to write, how do you get into your mindset to write? Do you have like a certain setup or writing which rituals that you do? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think you're really onto something with that. And I know you guys have yours spaces, and you know, your ritual. And the more you create, I think a ritual, the better.
Mm.
You know, so these days, I like to hunker down here in the TV room. Actually, I'd have a lot of books here, and I have uh, Big Baby Boof, the model for Dum Dum. And
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like to have him with me. You know, it's just he's become like my muse. You know, and he hangs out with me. My office, he doesn't like it, so you know, I kind of drifted down here. Um, anyway, I find it important to have music, right? And with Spotify
Mm.
and everything, it's helped so much. I don't have to go through all my cassette tapes anymore, you know?
Right.
So I have the music for the space and for sci-fi and gothic, my sci-fi and gothic writing. I like moody new age music, you know, like this trance
Mm.
stuff sometimes with the beat. Sounds from the Grounds is just one of the many bands I listen to that I found on Spotify primarily. But when I wrote Gatsby's Revenge, the first novel, I was listening to 20s and 40s music, you know, and
Oh,
then
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
get in the groove. And it's almost like you put the music on and it's like a bell in a way, right? Ding. Now
Hmm.
it's the time. You're training yourself. You're like Pavlov's dog, you know, instead of
Hmm.
looking for a meal, you're ready to punch some keys, baby.
I think
Right,
the
right.
kids these days call that a mind hack.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I love
You like
that, where you're actively like training your brain to get into that space. You
right,
turn on the music and it's just like it's writing time. Yeah.
yeah.
right, right.
Yes, I like that phrase. That's a good one. Or did you register that? Is that copyrighted?
No, no, I'm just around a lot of young kids a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They keep up with their lingo. It's
Yes.
hard.
right.
Yeah. Me too. Me too.
Do you want to talk about like your setup, like your desk setup? You said you get on the couch and it's comfy and it's
Yes, I have the. This is me right here. I mean, I have a
okay.
computer right here. I mean, in the winter, you know, the TV's there. In the winter, I put on like a snowy scene on YouTube, so I'll
Oh,
put on
nice.
like rivers flowing and stuff for the city or you know whatever. But mainly, I just want the music, some low lighting, computer, the dog. You know,
Right.
it's as I tell the students that I'm retired now, but as I always told the students, you've got to sometimes you got to fight for your writers,
Mm.
for your scholar space. You have to tell everybody to go away. You
Right,
know,
right.
door, turn on the fan, turn on the music, white noise, try and get people to be quiet, to honor, to respect you. And I think for women, particularly, it always seemed like they had the biggest battle, particularly older women, you
Mm.
know, returning to college, and in our case, maybe writing, that you know, they're expected to do everything for everybody. And then it's like, hey, now my time. You know,
Mhm.
I've helped all you all with everything. Now I want my space, you know, to do what I do. So please respect that. And I think I helped a lot of people over the years just thinking about that damn it,
Right.
I
Mhm.
want my space and I deserve it, honey. Go work in the garage for a while. Whatever.
I love the gusto
Yeah.
because yeah, it is important to prioritize your writing time or your studying time, whatever you need to do, and really like I know I always hear this advice for like NaNoWriMo, but like turn off your phone or leave it in the other room. Like you will not be able to get a hold of me for the next 2 hours and deal with it.
That's brilliant. That's
Yeah.
actually, that's really, I mentioned that too. I'm a victim of that. If they're so we all are now so distracted. People don't even realize. I think older people are in denial. Maybe everybody is, because we're just so addicted to that technology, and it's so amazing. And it's not just the young people at all. It's us too. I mean, I'm older than you guys, so I mean, even see older people around, and they're like making fun of it. The kids and say, "Dude, you're on your phone all the time. You write all these things online. You're on your phone.
Right.
And so, yeah, turning it off and putting it away, or turning off the messages.
Right.
Right.
But in airplane mode. Yeah.
Yeah. I need the music from it, which of course now everything's on the phone.
Right.
I'm like you. I take notes on my phone constantly. So it doesn't really work for me to leave my phone and then try to sit down and write, because that's where I'm pulling from.
Right.
But I definitely agree with you. Like our whole lives are on the phone. My friends live in my phone now.
Right.
I hardly see them in real life. We all talk on our phone, and it's where I handle all of my day-to-day life stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the most important part of writing?
The most important part of the writing process, or of just
Yeah.
the
Sure.
writing process, like, okay, I would say I think outline. Other than getting through writer's block, which I don't think is really a problem as much for like us, like you both of you and I, people have been writing for a while, but students, I think writer's block could be huge for anybody, but for me, it's the outline. And whatever type of writing you're doing, I've taught this for years, and I still maintain that you need that, that outline which you can follow. It keeps you on track. You keep abreast always of where you are in so many ways, and then you can fine tune it. So I'll have this. Well, I have it on the phone, but mainly on the Google Doc or what have you. And then I'll fine tune it, in A, B, C, maybe not even all the letters and numbers, right? But just a string going down and filling those things in, and avoiding, among other things, it avoids what I call the sort of the Gramps syndrome. My Gramps, my grandfather, he would tell stories, and they would just sort of go on forever. We'd start talking about, I don't know, the Yankees, and then in a half an hour we'd be talking about Kentucky, where he grew up.
Right.
No freaking clue. None of us ever did how we got from that place to the other place.
Right.
But what? Yeah, A, you don't want to lose your readers, obviously, but by meandering about. But B, you don't want to lose yourself, right? And your focus and your story. I mean, I tell writers that and students that, okay, it's not total loss, cut and paste, put that away somewhere. Maybe you can use it for something else. But you've just veered off your outline. You've veered off track. You got to get rid of that and get back on track. And keep pumping out the words. Keep pumping it out. And that's the key, is pumping out words.
Yep.
Right.
With Julia and I have documents where we like siphon off all the stuff, the paragraphs, the pages that we delete. So it's not completely wasted. We might use it at a different time for
right.
project. It's good writing, but it doesn't belong in your document.
Yeah, it might be great writing, and you just go, oh no, but I can't use that right now.
Yeah, right.
Next time.
Yeah, no, I hate to delete anything for good. So there's a leftovers file that I have that everything goes in there, and I'll look at it later and get ideas from it. Yeah.
It sounds like you're a big plotter. Like you have a very clear-cut plot and you follow that outline to complete your work. Okay.
I think we do find a lot of things are organic.
Mm-hmm.
That they grow on their own. So there's that I get into a good. I'm with the Walls series, the sci-fi series. This is my second, third, fourth novels, and I just finished publishing the most recent one.
Congratulations!
Oh, thanks. There's just a lot of times, I'm just enjoying my characters. Some of them in particular, and they're bantering. There's a lot of dialogue. I call it cinematic fiction, this trilogy. And they're bantering, and I'm just having such a good time with them, escorting their journey, and the stuff's just happening. It's one of those the best types of moments as a writer, and you're not all gonna stay, but you don't care. Okay. Oh, for now, I'm on this groove. I'm taking off. It's all good. I'll cut and paste later or whatever. Right.
Right. Yeah, no, I have a similar method where I have, like, when I sit down, I need to have a goal of, like, I'm going to work on this in this chapter when I write. And then I kind of let whatever organically happens to get there happen. And so it's like there is a loose outline and there is some plotting, but I do discover as I go. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. It's good to have like an idea. I mean, I'll have scenes that are on the outline, and I'm just going to working on that scene. And you're working on it. Boom. This week, finally got it done. On to the next scene. I feel like in order. It's really tempting to jump around, right the end. That can work, I for people. But I think is a practical matter and as an efficient way of writing to take advantage of the time. It's good to just sort of, plot along. Right. Boom, boom, boom. Taking care of business, checking it off, moving on. And then you can come back in the revision processes and make all the changes you need to make, and etc.
Yeah, I've heard that described as like kind of like headlights, right? Like you can't see where you're going, but you can see enough to keep going forward. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can see your destination, but you can see enough to get to the next step and the next step and the next step. Yeah.
I like the analogy.
Yeah.
Hopefully the lights are on, right? It's not too
right. Hopefully the lights are on and you're not just driving it blindly through the dark.
Right.
I'm a really big plotter as well, and I actually do occasionally write out of order because if I have a really clear idea for a scene, I want to get it down while it's still in my head. So, and then, but because I have an outline, it's easy to just string those along, and put them where they need to go.
Kind of slot them in.
Yep, they fit in the slots already. So, and then of course you go through and you revise it and iron out all the wrinkles.
Yeah.
But
that makes a lot of sense.
You probably do lose some efficiency with it.
Yeah.
But, every person finds their own way.
You can plug things in.
Yeah.
And that's all the time, especially walking, I'm getting ideas and
it
could be dialogue or it could be, anything. And it's like, okay, I want to plug that in right away. I try to do it even when I'm walking, it's harder for me. I'm 14 years old and stuff, but I'd rather plug it in on a nice big computer screen where you can see things better. And you Google Docs, you can go by page numbers and so forth. But it is nice to be able to have that material and then just sort of be able to plug it in instead of just leaving it sort of drifting out on space, or to use your driving for off to the side of the road somewhere out of the head
view. Yeah. Right. So you said before the show that you would like to become your characters when you write. So what do you mean by that, and how does that improve your writing?
I think it's important in good writing. Let me define what I mean. I've already pissed some people off.
Oh no.
Their opinion of good writing. Okay, but right now, of course, there's literature, right? And go into all that, but literature. Let's talk about Great Gatsby or Toni Morrison or whatever, right? And then there's new people now that are writing literature, really high quality fiction where they work to craft every line in a sort of maybe lyrical, or at least in a really beautiful writerly way. And then on the other end of the spectrum are the people just punching out fiction. So, okay. So by good writing, I mean at least something towards the middle, where you're trying to add some depth, some artistry, some gravitas, to your craft. And so that's why it's important to immerse yourself in your characters. What do they think? What are they like? How do they talk? What do they believe in? They won't be real if you don't. I think writing the other gender is the hardest thing for us all, and that's why I I pay attention to what women are saying, as much as I can, right? And I'm interviewing some ladies right now about what it's like to be a woman, and of course everybody's different, and but still there's things, and like the sexual stuff in particular, and being pregnant, and having children. Men can never know that. Right. Okay. So I interview people and talk to them, and I have talked to a lot of people over the years in different environments, and that's helped me. Like Gustave Flaubert said, right? Madame Bovary, c'est moi. Madame Bovary is me. Who's this woman that you are writing about? It's me, damn it. Your psyche, the trick is to try and intertwine your psyche with that of your characters, particularly the important ones. Maybe even the ancillary ones as well, to give them life,
to
make them intriguing, to make them resonate on the page, rather than just say, she walked in, an older woman with gray hair, and said to me, so, and that's hard.
Absolutely. I think we all appreciate a book where the characters don't feel like words on a page. They feel like real people that we know.
Right.
They become so real to us when an author is able to pull that off.
Yes. It's really, really hard.
Yes.
To be cliche or what have you. And you don't need a lot of similes. The students always think that, I have to have a lot of similes. No matter, his eyes were the color of the dead sun in the morning,
Yeah.
Even Crane or something. It's just use colors, spend some time on it, thinking about it. But anyway, I kind of drifted off talking about the details, but what's important is whether it's what they look like, what they talk like, just to try and make them, as I said, resonate for people a little bit more. So it's not so they're not just flat characters,
Right. No, characters, people are a world, so they're very important to try and get right. I really love interviewing people as well. Whether that's like settings I'm going to use in my book, or like specific people that I want to model a character after. So I love that you said you're interviewing people to kind of, pick their brains and see what it's like to be, on the other side.
You want it to be authentic. You want to get it right, for sure.
As much as possible, right? And then, but I think most of it really, as writers, we're very creative and thinkers and intuitive and hopefully empathetic. I mean, how do you be a good writer without having empathy?
Right.
I'm not sure you can, but we have all these things, and maybe even the older you get, the more we've known all these people over the. We've watched tons of shows. We've read tons of books. We're like these organic libraries, right?
Right.
Steaming with people, people, they're everywhere, and and that's that fuel. That's like fuel. Somebody's rising up. Yes, going for a better spot.
Yes.
And they so those things, and I think the more that you you stoke that fuel, right? I'm trying not to many metaphors here, but the more you stoke that fuel, right? All those little kernels of coal, you're making the fire hot.
Right.
Making the fire.
Right.
It's part of the craft. You know, the more you write, the more you get into it, the better it becomes. Well, hopefully easier, the more rich it becomes. You know.
How well do you get to know your characters before you even start writing, or do you like discover them sort of along the way?
Yeah, I think it's discovery along the way, isn't it? You know, I mean, starting like something new. I mean, with the Walls trilogy, this one. You once I got to know the characters better as I began writing it, they begin to become richer and richer to me. You know, stoking full, right? The flames are coming up, so that when I got to the second book and the third book, I knew them so well. You know that it made it easier, you know, to do it. But it just, in my opinion, you know, they just become alive for me. And I think everything, I loved writing Walls. It was so much easier than everything else, and just sort of, and I focused a lot on dialogue. And I think that made it easier for me because I like dialogue. And I think I'm decent at it. So that made it a lot easier than trying to evoke their inner narration constantly,
Right.
or spending a lot of time on description. You know, the environment, which I think is important too. I don't think you should scrimp on that. But you know, I mean, unless you're writing a 500-page book, maybe you're going to have some, and it's really important. But I think I try to get in and get out with a lot of stuff. Just get enough so that they get a good impression, you know, a good feeling about the scene, about the room, about the people, and then, you know, okay, that's enough. You know, it's like you sort of feel it out, right, as a writer, and as a reader too. I mean, I've been reading a lot of people's books lately, reviewing. Sometimes they'll review mine, and sometimes the other way around, or they'll review mine and they don't.
Right.
Common. But you know, and a lot of indie writers, you know, and I see things that I would want to help them with as a, you know, writing teacher. I'm not a, you know, huge success story, but I do write and I publish, and I've been teaching a while, you know, and they, you know, here are these aliens. Okay, well, tell us about them.
Right.
And they showed up and they got in the ship and they left. What? You know, I would think if you have beta writers, which I think is a really good idea, depending on who they are and, you know, what they are, how good they are. But notice stuff like that, right? You wouldn't, but I think, you know, sometimes we just go, no, I don't want to listen to that. I'm fine.
Yes. It is very important as a writer to be open to the help that you get from your beta readers and other authors, and you want to get a lot of eyes on that manuscript to consider a lot of the other views, because sometimes you know something but you neglected to put it in the manuscript.
Yeah.
Right. It's in your head but not on the page always.
Yes.
And
if you don't want to hear other people's like, if you have a thin skin and you don't want to hear any criticism, you probably shouldn't be a writer, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Unless, you know, you don't care. You don't want to be successful. I mean, I get a lot of comments, and I just, you know, some of them are really good. Like you said, oh shit, I forgot. I mean, seriously, huge mistakes. Like, so I mean, it's really important for that. Then you get some stuff where that's pretty good, but, you know, I'm really trying to do this. You know, you kind of have that argument. And then, well, it's my book, okay. And then there's times you know you don't get it at all. And then the like I had the last book, the two of the beta readers disagreed with each other. Right. One said, you got to change this. It's to stream of consciousness. What is that all about? Because I like to be arty, you know, and the other one said, don't listen to her.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're
I
never
love
going
that
to
part.
please everybody. Yes.
Right. So, you got to please yourself, right? Yeah.
Right. At
So,
the end of the day, it's your story, and as an editor, I always tell people, like, it's a conversation. I make a suggestion based off of what I know and what I'm seeing in your story, but like at the end of the day, it's not my story. It's you are the one who knows why you're doing what you're doing, and as long as you're intentional about it and know what the consequences might be, then at
mhm.
the end of the day, I'm always happy to be like, yes, write your story, stay true to
Yeah.
yourself. Um, and I think it's always a balance, right? Even with
Yes.
when getting input from other people like beta readers or editors, it's a lot of times, like Neil Gaiman said, that if someone tells you something's wrong with your story, they're almost always right. If they tell you how to fix it, they're almost always wrong, right? So it's great
Yes.
to get input and see what you might have missed, but like at the end of the day, you'll know how to fix your own story. Yeah.
Yes. But it is, I mean, because you could have editors and beta readers and your mother and your grandmother, and everybody's telling you a
Yeah.
different thing. And,
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, just very quickly, with Gatsby's Revenge, I had a chance to publish it with a publisher,
Mm-hmm.
and the woman, the woman editor loved it. The male editor did not.
Oh,
And he
okay.
said, well, I definitely would consider it if you do A, B, C, D, E, and F.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, you can't make Gatsby too whimsical, because I have him coming back with more of a sense of humor. I mean, after all, he's dead.
Right.
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 So he's back. He's got like a top hat and a cane, and just make it more kind of fun. And a lot of people don't like that. It's God damn, it's Great Gatsby shouldn't be like that. He's kind of like that. And it's like, so I threw away that opportunity. He might have still not published it, but I didn't want to change my vision.
Right.
For the chance to have a, reputable publisher. Maybe, I don't know, may have been a mistake, but I published it my way. And I sold 150 copies so far.
Yeah.
That's decent.
Hey, it's more than some people do. Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
It's more than I've done with the other ones. So. Anyway, but yeah, no, that's a really good question and a great topic. What do you, who do you listen to?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like I said, at the end of the day, if you know you're doing this to accomplish this goal, then it's fine to trust your instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then of course, with the way it is now, I mean, if you get like reviews that say the same thing, it's too confusing. You can always rewrite it and republish it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kindle, in 3 days, Kindle has the new book out, and it's like the other one never existed. I'm going on a new cover. I just found a woman on Instagram, who does covers like amazing, so fine. But so you can always put the things out there, and then when you do find out, it's not just your editor or your mother or whatever it says. You go, okay, I won't make Gatsby so funny or something.
Right.
I think you had a question about a favorite author.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, okay, moving on from The Great Gatsby, my favorite book. Cormac McCarthy's basically, I mean, out of the list, right? Who's your favorite? Well, I think Cormac McCarthy's just one of the greatest writers of all time. And one of the reasons is because of his diversity, his ability. I mean, you talk about being flexible earlier. Well, he is unusually flexible. You read William Faulkner, you read Toni Morrison, whomever, right, of the great, right? They write a certain way, and it's really great, and that's all their books, pretty much. Well, Faulkner did have a different style in his short stories. He wasn't so stream of consciousness, etc.
Right.
A lot of them, like Rose for Emily, one of the greatest stories of all time. But McCarthy is really interesting, and I think he's a brilliant writer in every way that he does pursue his craft. But like with All the Pretty Horses, you get the wonderful stream of consciousness all the way through. And then No Country for Old Men is like a sort of an honest realism of a even detective genre to some extent. And then there's that sublime minimalism of The Road. This dark story about a post-apocalyptic future, which is so bleak. But the poetry that he the lyricism and the minimal poetry he infuses into his writing is such a beautiful thing.
All right. So Cormac
Yeah.
McCarthy is your favorite, and you enjoy his range of talent, how
Right.
he's
The
able to
versatility.
really
that
change up
variety.
his voice for his different books.
Yes, the voice for different books, definitely, and they're all haunting. You know, I like that in a book when it haunts you.
Mhm.
Right.
Not just
Right.
the Gothic stuff, you know, what I call the Gothic tradition, you know, the
Right.
horror or whatever, but you know, the tragic characters, women who've been through hell, men who've been through hell, and the story reaches out and grabs you, you know, and stays with you.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
Well, it's easy to write about tragedies. The trick is making your reader care
Right.
about that person that the tragedy is happening to. That's
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
trick of it.
yeah, and that's a
And
great
when you
point.
find an author who does that well, it's
Yeah.
Yes.
it's quite a thing. I was going to ask, do you have writing advice that you give to all new writers?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd go back to the outline
Sure.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you know, I'm trying to think if there's anything different I could say, but definitely the outline,
Okay.
you know, come up with work on your outline constantly, work on a plot. And then, yeah, again, to give yourself guidance and discipline and to help, you know, help pave, like you said, the headlights, you know, ahead of you.
Right.
I'm,
Right.
I'm going to borrow that and run with that forever.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So the flip side of that coin is, do you have writing advice that is common that you do not like at all, was not useful to you, don't agree with?
Yeah, I had some people. I've had a lot of bad writing teachers. They were men, and the good ones were women. Isn't that interesting? And I still find that to be true. Although my best friend's also a writing teacher, and he's cool. But anyway, so they say all sorts of things. I guess there's two things, and perhaps do two questions at once. One is like when I first got some criticism, and I got a lot on Gatsby's Revenge, right? And particularly people who like Fitzgerald and the Great Gatsby and they were academics. You know, they just crapped all over it. But then there's just things like, well, you really shouldn't have more than one pretty woman in your book. And this is from a published writer.
That is bizarre advice.
And it's like, what are you talking about? It's like, first of all right, what do you mean, like Big Sleep? There's like 5 pretty women. So what, you can't have 5 good-looking guys too? You know, it's very patriarchal.
Right. Right.
Yes.
And it's not, you know, so that's just that's just like, well, I mean, from a legit writer, you know, and just one of the crazy things you hear. The other thing is not, I don't dislike it, but I think it depends on how you look at it. When they say write what you know, that's the most famous writing added line. Yeah. So my take is that not necessarily, because you're writing science fiction, you're not writing what you know, right? You write, you learn about the stuff. I mean, Toni Morrison wasn't a slave. You know, she feels it, the history, and she researched it, right? Stephen Crane did not go into battle as a soldier when he wrote, I think, one of the great books of all time, which the names just slipped my mind. Spread some magic on me. The Red Badge of Courage.
Yes. Okay. I thought that was what you were talking about, but
I gotta wait for that cylinder to come. What's the title?
Right.
And you know, Saul Bellow never went to Africa, and he wrote this amazing, amazing fiction about that. You know, anyway, so we learn about it, and you can write what you know. That's fine. But I think it's better to write what you feel. You know, that's my big quote.
Write what you feel. All right.
Write what you feel. What do you feel strongly about, or who do you feel for your characters? If you feel for them, you can write about them well. Anybody can do some research. You can go on a boat with a fisherman. You can talk to your aunt and uncle who fish all the time. You can go out fish. You can just read about it, you know,
Right.
and make it work. Maybe. I mean, nobody's been in outer space, but we're all writing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I
You
can
know?
fully identify with that. My two main characters are male, and they're both not human.
Nice.
Well, we do want to give you the opportunity to let everyone know where they can find you online, learn more about you and your book.
Oh, sure. Right. Well, I'm on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the 4 books are on Amazon. You know, I have a link.
And you said you're on Instagram?
Yes, on Instagram. It's all SF Covell, or
Okay.
Instagram. It's author SF Covell.
All right.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a website which has like movies I made as well. I had a movie partner at one time making independent
nice.
films. I tutor, right? I teach, help, edit. There's a lot of editors out there, but it's like, well, wait a minute. Before you just have an editor, or besides having an editor, editors go through your work. You've got some issues. Let me help you understand what those issues are, and
Right.
learn how to fix them. So, avoiding some comma splices and run-ons and fragments,
Right.
and just how to look through your work more carefully to avoid some of the mistakes you're making, things like that, right? Like a grammar instruction. And I've got two right now I'm working with. And so I'm always open for helping people in any way I can.
Right.
Shh.
Well, thank you
Rufus,
so much.
focus.
Nice to get to know you.
Yeah, thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us
Thank you.
and being on the show tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who's listening along at home. Make sure you check out our next episode, which releases on Friday. And remember, there's more than one way up the mountain. If you're interested in being a guest on the show, then you can find us on social media at The Tell Not Show, or at Gmail. Email us at thetellnotshow@gmail.com. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Yes, thanks.
Thanks again for listening. If you enjoyed the show, consider subscribing and liking. We appreciate all the support. Julia J.K. Allen is an author, editor, and coach, and can be found at hijinksrudder.com.
Kirsha Fox is an author, avid reader, gamer, and mother to 4, and you can find her at kirshafox.com. Thanks, and see you next time.